Secretary Clinton, yesterday, President Trump made big news by announcing that his policy was going to be to clear the way for the Turkish government to send its troops into Syria, that the U.S. troops were going to get out of the way so essentially they can go in after the Syrian Kurds, who they view as terrorists. Of course, the Syrian Kurds have been very helpful to the United States in the conflict in that region. What's at stake here for the United States?
Well, I thought that the announcement that President Trump made that he was ordering the withdrawal of American troops from northern Syria and in effect giving a green light to the Turks under President Erdogan to go in with their military was a betrayal of the strongest allies that we have in the region. We would not have defeated ISIS by this time if it had not been for the Kurds, who were our partners and allies. The Kurds from across the region, but of course in particular the Syrian Kurds. They did a lot of the fighting. We supported, largely through special forces, what they were doing. And they were the ones who, I think, lost 11,000 fighters and had many more injured soldiers. They deserve better than to have the United States abruptly pull out the 5,000 or so special forces that we've had in there.
Even though Turkey, longtime U.S. ally, NATO ally, you're saying the interest of the Kurds should be placed above the relationship with Turkey?
In this instance, the Turks have made very clear that they are going to engage in a broad-based attack on the Syrian Kurds. And what that means, in my understanding of where we are in this region, is that pressure will be taken off the remnants of ISIS and other jihadist groups that are still percolating in Syria. That the camps filled with tens of thousands of ISIS prisoners will be largely left to their own devices. There will be a resurgence of militancy within Syria because of this. The Turks have no interest in going far enough into Syria, as they have been speaking of it, to actually make sure that ISIS doesn't once again take hold of territory. And I think that's a direct threat. It's a direct threat to our national security, to the blood, sweat, and loss that Americans have already committed to trying to beat the Islamic State. So they are certainly a NATO ally, but they've been, taking weapons from Russia. They have been using the Kurdish problem to bolster the reign of Erdogan. So it's more complicated. And if there were to be a decision about withdrawing American troops, it should have been subjected to the kind of careful deliberation that we made in the Obama administration, or that I know from prior administrations, before being announced after the president has a phone call with Erdogan. For all we know, in that phone call, he asked the Turks to investigate Joe Biden. I mean, we can't trust anything he says, but the consequences of this decision are incredibly damaging for the United States.
You think he might have asked him?
I have no idea. Who knows what he says to people? He is a loose cannon now in an even more dangerous way than he was.